In September 2007, emergency personnel rushed into a New York home following a frantic 911 call. They found 19-year-old Ashley Wallace barely breathing in her bed, surrounded by empty vodka bottles and prescription pills. And right beside her lay a note. It was a 750-word typed letter detailing an elaborate confession. In it, Ashley seemingly admitted to poisoning both her biological father and her stepfather, explaining exactly how she carried out the murders. But physical evidence at the scene told a very different story. Ashley didn't type that letter. The true author of the confession was the exact same person who made the 911 call, Ashley's own mother, Stacy. Understanding how a mother could decide to target her own daughter requires looking back at her history, beginning nearly a decade before that 911 call. We start in 1999. 11-year-old Ashley and her mother Stacy were inseparable, often describing themselves as best friends. But behind closed doors, Stacy's marriage to Ashley's father, Michael Wallace, was failing, and Stacy was already seeking a divorce attorney. By December of that year, Michael suddenly fell ill. He complained of severe dizziness and a constant feeling of intoxication, while his face and hands became heavily bloated. Doctors misdiagnosed his rapid physical decline as a simple ear infection. Weeks later, in January 2000, Ashley returned home from school to find her father unresponsive on the family couch. Despite being rushed to the hospital, the 38-year-old was pronounced dead. The attending physician assumed he had suffered a heart attack. In the immediate aftermath, Stacy explicitly refused the coroner's offer to perform a medical autopsy. She collected a $55,000 life insurance payout, renovated their house, and took her 2 daughters on a vacation to Disney World. The absence of an autopsy meant the actual cause of Michael's death remained undocumented. Stacy was left with the life insurance payout, her children's trust, and no criminal record. By 2003, Stacy had married David Castor, a wealthy heating company owner. But the relationship soured quickly. 2 years into the marriage, the couple fought constantly, and David's home life deteriorated into shouting matches. In August 2005, police responded to the Castor home. They found David dead inside a locked bedroom. On the floor nearby sat a glass half full of green liquid and an open bottle of antifreeze, suggesting he had locked himself inside and taken his own life. However, investigators searching the house noticed an anomaly. In the kitchen trash can, they found a turkey baster containing traces of green fluid. Forensic testing soon confirmed the fluid was antifreeze, and the tip of the baster held David's DNA. The physical evidence against Stacy began mounting. Forensics pulled 3 fingerprints from the glass of antifreeze. 2 of them belonged to Stacy. Furthermore, toxicology reports showed 0 traces of alcohol in David's blood, directly contradicting Stacy's sworn statement to the 911 operator that he had been drinking heavily. Realizing the pattern, the district attorney ordered the exhumation of Stacy's first husband, Michael Wallace, in 2007. Medical examiners found gold-colored crystals in his organs. These form when the body processes ethylene glycol, the toxic chemical found in antifreeze, and they remain visible in tissue even years after death. During a follow-up interview with police, Stacy attempted to explain why her fingerprints were on the glass in David's room. She claimed she had poured him cranberry juice, but accidentally slipped and said she had poured the antifreeze. Trapped by the physical evidence and her own words, Stacy realized she was about to be arrested. Knowing investigators were actively listening to her phone calls and building a double homicide case, Stacy enacted a desperate contingency plan. She decided to use her own teenage daughter as a scapegoat. Under the guise of relaxing after a stressful week, Stacy encouraged Ashley to drink alcohol with her. Over 2 days, she manipulated Ashley into getting blackout drunk, eventually handing her a highly toxic cocktail and instructing her to drink it through a straw so she wouldn't taste the foul chemicals. While Ashley was slipping into unconsciousness, Stacy walked to the family computer. She sat down and typed out the intricate 750-word confession note, carefully detailing the mechanics of the 2 murders to ensure the police would close the cases. But digital forensics teams dismantled this alibi. They extracted timestamp data, the digital record of when a file is created. The data proved the confession was drafted on Stacy's personal computer account at 2:27 p.m. on September 12th. School attendance records confirmed Ashley was physically sitting in a classroom at that exact moment. Detectives waited at the hospital while doctors worked to clear the toxins from Ashley's system. They knew that if she succumbed to the poison, they would lose their primary witness, and Stacy's manufactured narrative might actually hold up in court. Stacy used her daughter's reliance on her to deliver a lethal dose, attempting to secure her own freedom by ending the life of the person who trusted her most. Fortunately, Ashley's sister found her in time. Ashley survived the lethal dose and immediately informed police that she never wrote the suicide note. She explained she only drank the foul-tasting liquids because her mother told her to, and she trusted her. In January 2009, the trial commenced. The prosecution's strategy hinged on calling Ashley to the stand as their very first witness, forcing her to testify against the woman who had been her primary caregiver. While Ashley broke down recounting the day she found her father dead, Stacy sat perfectly still. Even when the district attorney confronted her with the reality of poisoning 2 husbands, Stacy showed absolutely no emotion. The trial stripped away the persona of the unlucky, grieving widow, exposing a calculating predator. After 4 days of deliberation, the jury returned a verdict. They found Stacy Castor guilty on all counts, including second-degree murder and attempted murder. The judge sentenced her to 54 years in state prison. When the sentence was read, the psychological weight finally lifted off Ashley and her sister, Bree. The woman who had systematically destroyed their family was permanently removed from their lives. The sisters chose to move forward. Ashley pursued higher education, eventually earning her degree in accounting and building a career entirely separated from the dark legacy her mother tried to force upon her. Stacy Castor operated under the assumption that her crimes would never be questioned, but Ashley and Bree's survival and their willingness to face their mother in a court of law ensured that the evidence spoke louder than the lies.